Hello, everyone. Welcome to Undertow. This is a Shift mini-series set in Maelstrom. Shift is a game by Hit Point Press. You can find it by using the exclamation point shift at any point during the game to get access to the free quick start, which we have built our mini-series around. Shift is a pick-up-and-play RPG by Hit Point Press that offers diverse options for GMs and players. It has a minimal rule set containing everything a GM needs to facilitate an exciting, character-driven story for players. As characters use their traits to interact with the world, the dice associated with their traits change, shifting better or worse as the narrative unfolds. Thank you for smiling. I really appreciate that. We will be using D4, D6, D8, D10, and D12. We are also using Maelstrom, which is a setting by Hit Point Press, available in the Quick Start as well. Maelstrom is a setting of eldritch horror, the supernatural, science fiction, and Atlantic coastal life. A cataclysmic event has left much of the world lost underwater, and people are forced to live in a world of harsh, rocky landscapes that are corrupted by a supernatural force called the Deep. Before we get too far into our story, I would love to introduce to you for the first time all these lovely people here on the screen. Please tell me who you are, where we can find you, and we will start with Rue.
Hello, sorry, I was muted. Hello, everyone. My name is Rue. My pronouns are she, her. And you said where people could find me.
Yeah.
Can find me on Twitter at Cherry Drop. And I have all my important links on the pinned tweet there.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And we'll hop on over to Jasmine.
Hello, I am Jasmine, pronouns she, her. You can find me on Twitter at @L_Jasmine. You can also catch me on Tuesdays playing D&D with Hero Club over at their Twitch stream, which is linked in the chat as well.
Thank you very much. We'll hop on over to Chris.
Hello, everybody. I'm Chris Tung. Most people know me as one of the co-founders of PinkCity.ca, which is an anime gaming streetwear brand from Toronto, Canada. I'm also part of the Super Junior Dudes podcast, which is a comedy tabletop RPG podcast. I'm the producer, editor, and current GM. And catch us on Mondays on the Pink City Twitch channel. We air our Blink Space Blues show there every week, which is our fun neo-noir, Cowboy Bebop-inspired Lancer Gundam show. It's really dope. Probably the coolest thing I ever have done. So coming out there, but hang out here too.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I caught an episode of it, and it was so funny.
It is very funny.
Oh my god, it is hilarious. I didn't know that you were that funny, Chris, until I saw that, and I was like, oh my god.
Chris, I've been thinking you're funny until I saw you, GM. No, thank you for tuning in. Yeah, I'm blessed with a wonderful, hilarious cast as well, but yeah, I don't know. I like to be funny. This Gizbar is probably going to be funny, even though I don't intend him to be, but that's just how I roll.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And then we'll pop on over to Lexi.
Hello, my name's Lexi. I am mostly known online as Pizza Yeti. I'm a variety streamer mostly on Twitch, which is where you can find me most days. And then I also hang out on Twitter a lot less than I used to, now that Twitter is what it is. But yeah, this is one of my first stream games, and I'm excited to be here.
Hey, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited. All right, let me put on some more ominous music. This is a little too hopeful.
Yeah. So epic.
All right, perfect. The Deep is an evil and otherworldly force, lurking in the ocean for as long as anyone can remember. It corrupts the land and its inhabitants, eventually dragging both down into watery depths. No one knows where the Deep came from, but it is connected to the heart of the Maelstrom, the enormous, ravenous storm that consumed the sun and changed the world. Though the sun is actually, literally lost, the light remains. The sun's supernatural light is infused in a few lighthouses and even some people around the world, transforming them into shining bulwarks that serve as bastions of hope and an antithesis to the deep. Where the light shines, it restores, and the deep recoils. We will begin episode 1, titled Good Night. On the ocean. We see a world shrouded in darkness. When there are no storms, the land is lit only by starlight, scattered and pinpoints of light above you. It is always just enough to cast a dim shadow over the world. As we are following the dark horizon here, the weather has been extremely strange recently. Gizbar, you are no stranger to the ocean. You, some people might even say, live on it. But the storms have been unusual. They have been explosive, sometimes with color, sometimes with fire, sometimes with ice. It doesn't make much sense, but you've done your best to avoid the majority of the storms. And you are continuing about what you do. As the camera comes into focus, seeing only the silhouette of something moving across the water, what do we see as we focus in on the compass?
So the compass itself is not a compass. It is in fact a boat. You see a quite large, very long and thin boat. I would say it looks kind of like a canoe, but much larger. Made of old wood, brown, and it's seen its days, especially on these waters. It's definitely been repaired more than once this week, probably. But slowly rowing this boat atop it, you see a lanky old man, much unlike myself, with a long gray beard, and also much unlike myself, bald, old, and covered head to toe. You see tattoos upon his body, various symbols, maps, even line work, all sorts of things. But if you look closely, you see that the tattoos are ever shifting, ever so slightly, just moving, and once in a while shifting shapes. And you see just Gizbar chilling, rowing, being an old guy on the water.
You are not alone on the compass. You, as you are maneuvering the ship, stare deeply into the wide, dark saucer eyes of your companion, Jet, the enormous, suspiciously buff frog. Jet is of a gray-blue color with a number of welts that are kind of knotted and gnarly over his body, and he has this sort of unnerving look to him. But you know Jet well enough to know that he's a sweetheart, and he serves you well here aboard the Compass. What is your favorite thing to feed to Jet?
I would imagine. Do fish exist in this water? Yes, right. I would imagine so. They can survive in these waters. Yeah. If I ever, I don't know. Is that weird to feed a frog fish?
Well, you do know that Jet the Frog has an extremely special
Oh, that's
condition.
true.
Yeah,
Yes.
Jet the Frog possesses this unusual quirk where he can consume literally anything without any difficulty whatsoever. So he loves the fish that you give him.
Yeah. I'll say if I ever go fishing and catch a little guy or even a big guy, I'll give him a little nibble just because I know he can stomach it. And I've seen him eat worse. But yeah, we do what we can out here, right?
Jet just stares at you, unblinking, and he only moves his bulbous body as you begin to approach Ambition's height. The camera pulls back and we see your ship, the Compass, beginning to approach the dock to one of several islands. You are currently in the Moon Isles, a once towering mountain that has been swallowed by the ever-rising ocean. The Moon Isles are a series of islands that stretch almost in a crescent shape here, the remnants of that once mountainous height. And Ambition's height itself is unique in that it is the tallest point here in the Isles. Can you describe to me what the rest of Ambition's height looks like? Ash.
Ambition's height is a sort of barren island, very rocky, and it, as you said, is the tallest point where Ash likes to stand and look out onto the water, trying to get the best vantage point. It is not really a place that sustains greenery or plant life very well, but there is a lot of moss and little pockets of what are they called? Like those little pools of water.
Yeah, like patties.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of marine life in those little ecosystems there, and Ash likes to study them.
Speaking of Ash, as we pull away from the docks way below, we see you. What do you look like?
Ash is a mid-30s woman with sort of prematurely graying hair. She has a crooked nose that's clearly been broken several times, and several like bruises and where she's gotten to scrapes and stuff with the ocean. She's definitely seen a thing or two, but she has not lost that spark in her eyes whenever she looks out into the ocean.
As you look out into the ocean, you can see out in the stretch of ocean between the Moon Isles and what is the largest settlement of this part of the world, known as Stronghold, there is a large storm. It is nowhere near the height and danger of the Maelstrom itself, this gargantuan anomaly that literally swallowed the sun. But it is dangerous, and you know that anyone that has seafaring experience will prefer to drive their boats around the shred rather than through it. So you're looking out at this storm. It changes colors before your eyes. You see lightning cackling with purple and cyan and red in the distance. But much closer, you see a single ship beginning to dock at Ambition's height at the water level. You know that boats don't come here very often. This is your one and only chance to get off the ship for probably the next day or two.
Ash, knowing exactly who this is and wanting to get on that boat, starts to make her way down. She's been clearly anticipating this arrival.
Okay, what does it look like as you are hurrying your way down?
Ash is very familiar with the path to, she's gone up and down this mountain and cliff many times. So she just makes her way down the fastest route, and knowing that she can make it there in time.
Excellent. As you break through and begin to pad your way across the dock, Gizbar, you see Ash. How do you respond?
Ahoy, Ash! Been a while.
Hey, Gizbar. Sort of expected you like 2 hours ago, but maybe that's just me being anxious to get out there.
The sea is the sea. Can't predict how fast or how slow I'll go. I go as fast as I can.
Fair. Ash has sort of like a bunch of chips that she has been eating, and she just throws the pack to Jet. And she climbs aboard.
Yeah, in midair, we see this metallic packet floating through the air, and just this massive mouth opens, and a tongue just and it takes it out and swallows the entire thing whole.
Ash just sort of chuckles because it always amuses her that Jed'll eat anything.
He'll eat anything, that one. You sometimes worry, but he's been okay ever since, I've known him, so.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna die anytime soon. So keep feeding him whatever.
Yeah, he fully swallowed a pack of cigarettes this morning and fine.
Oh, I could have used one of those.
Right? I was just about to take one out and into the belly it went.
Well, maybe we can buy a couple more packs over at Stronghold if we make it there in time. She checks her watch and sort of like really excited to get out there.
Yeah, same old. Still trying to chase those storms.
Yeah, this one's really kind of caught my attention. I haven't seen anything like it.
It's no easy task traveling these waters, so stay sharp.
Always am.
As
I
you
know.
make yourself comfortable on the compass, you begin to pull the ship out, Gizbar, and you're coasting along the Moon Isles. It takes a few hours. Is there anything special that happens in the few hours that the two of you and Jet just have to wait out until you make it to Poetic Irony?
Ash is always, I think, always feels like she's late. And feels like if she doesn't get there, she's gonna miss. She has major FOMO with storms, and so she's just fidgeting with whatever she can find and sort of asking Gizbar questions, but not really listening for the answer. Like, so how's it been? How's business? But not really processing.
Yeah, I feel like we've traveled enough together for me to kind of see the signs of just like Ash always trying to get out there as quickly as possible. When I just Gizbar's a chill guy. He'll get there when he gets there, but he gets there safe, I think, is what he's mostly known for. Which is why people keep coming back to this ferryman.
As we pull into Poetic Irony, a couple of hours passing by, it's starting to get closer to midday. Can you describe to me what Poetic Irony looks like? Ahi?
Yeah. So Poetic Irony, the main thing that you see right as you come to the coastline is like a town built just off. There's like a harbor, and there's a town that's kind of built organically from that area. And you see a lot of people kind of going in. There's a lot of people working kind of like in a fishery style thing, like a lot of fisher people. But as you go further inland, it's a lot of like forest, kind of tropical looking area. There's like a lot of mountainous, like at the further in you go and closer to like the back of the island, the more like mountainous it becomes as well. So you can kind of see sometimes, especially at night, like little flashlights of like headlamps of people that are like out there trekking and climbing the areas. And then you also sometimes see like a little row of lights, and that's these like rescue ranger type folks, the rescue wardens that are like out there rescuing the people that have gone out and don't know how to get back down.
Yeah, especially you would know because you spent most of your life here, if not all of it, that there are ruins in the forests on Poetic Irony. And you know that they carry all sorts of suspicion. They're haunted, they're dangerous, they're full of traps, they're full of monsters. And people are often warded away from it. But you always have those troublemakers that try to push the boundaries. Sometimes they get lost, sometimes they don't come back.
Yeah, and one of those troublemakers is Ahi for sure, who loved kind of pushing the boundaries, especially having a mom who is one of the rescue wardens. They kind of got off a little easy. Their other mom is a researcher, so both pretty prolific in the town. Not a lot of people were really willing to tell Ahi off for going off and adventuring, and they kind of relied a little bit that their mom could get them out, that they weren't too worried about bending the rules. But now when we see Ahi, they are kind of standing very anxiously at the harbor, and they've got this very tall, kind of lean woman next to them who's kind of fussing and keeps trying to push a backpack stuffed full of things at Ahi, and they keep being like, no, I don't need this. I have everything I need on me, Mom. It's fine. It's fine. They've got go ahead.
Yeah, can you describe what Ahi looks like?
Yeah, so Ahi is kind of like medium height, like 5'6" teenager. They're about 16 years old, and they are dressed in what looks kind of like work clothes that look a little waterproofed. So they've got like dark, kind of baggy pants on that they've rolled up and like attached at the knee, and underneath you can see kind of like a bright yellow on the other side of it. So they've pulled those up as they stand at the harbor that gets like a little bit of water coming on. So they've got these like waterproof shoes on, and they have just kind of a plain gray shirt, and then over that they have a leather like vest that's kind of askew a little bit on them, or not askew, like asymmetrical is the word I'm looking for. And they've got a lot of little pouches both on the vest and like attached that they're kind of patting down and checking, and that seems to be what they mean about like they've got everything that they need. And then over it they have a very large cloak that seems very different from the rest of their pretty practical outfit. They have like this big cloak that goes over one shoulder and kind of stops before it gets to the other shoulder. And on the back, it has an emblem in yellow of a fish jumping over a sun, which is the emblem of the town. And this is something that the town has kind of given them to be like, when you're doing your beacon duties, we want people to know which town you came from. And so they're like very annoyingly like adjusting it, because obviously it's not something they chose for their outfit. And they are, every once in a while you see them try to like untie it and get rid of it, and then their mom quickly fixes it for them. It's gonna come off if you do this. And so they're like, oh, okay.
I love that so much.
And they are searching for Gizbar's boat. They are like looking as much as they can see. As soon as they see it, they like start almost trying to like it looks like they're about to like jump in the water. They want to get in it so badly.
That's so cute. Do you imagine that there's a crowd here as Gizbar and Ash are pulling up?
Yeah, they are resolutely not acknowledging the very large crowd that is behind them, that have like, some of them are holding up like banners and things that have the same emblem on them, and they're cheering. Some of them are trying to like get Ahi's attention, and they're like, if I don't turn and look at them, they're not there.
Excellent. So how do Gizbar and Ash react to this not insubstantial crowd behind Ahi and their moms as you're pulling up to Poetic Irony and the dock there?
Ahi, is that you?
Yes, it's me. It's me. Like, as someone's trying to like pull you into the harbor, they're just like,
I can tell there's so many people.
they're like half getting into your boat before you've even fully docked.
Hey, get in here. If, do you want me to like leave? Like, you're trying to get out of this crowd?
You don't have to dock. You can just turn and go.
Okay, yeah, drive by. Get out. Yeah, jump on.
They jump in. I think their mom tosses the bag in, and they toss it back as we start to go away.
Looking bright as ever, Ahi.
Oh, thank goodness. Yeah, it feels like I thought you were coming in the morning. I've been out here like since daybreak.
Yeah,
Since
you're
dawn.
the second person to give me shit. It's been a long day. Listen, these waters, let me tell you, they're unpredictable.
I should have just gone to another island and it met you halfway. Only
That's
I could have
okay.
shaken my mom.
I know how it is.
Yeah, Ahi, as you're kind of settling down into the boat, you see that Jet the frog is sitting next to Ash, just staring up at her with these big, unblinking eyes.
Who I think Ahi has like a tense relationship with Jet where like sometimes they're like friendly and then sometimes Ahi tries to like pet them or something and they're just not into it. And I think maybe right now is one of those times where Jet is like, please, not you.
Yeah, you can see that Jet doesn't even acknowledge you. They are completely fixated on Ash. Ash, how are you reacting to this?
I just sort of like how you would with a dog that's begging, like, I don't have any more chips. I'm sorry, I gave you my last bag. Maybe when we make it to Stronghold, I'll buy you a couple more, but you know, I don't have anything. Don't look at me like that.
He likes you.
Too much.
Well, takes a lot of time to warm up to people sometimes, so it's a good sign. It's a good omen.
Yeah. Good omen. Could use it today.
So we'll have a couple of hours before we get to Empathy's Embrace. What does this look like? Is there anything special that happens between the three of you and your frog?
I think Ahi, as they kind of like settle in a little more and really notice Ash is also on the boat. Like I think they were like, there's another person and it's Ash, but they were in kind of the middle of settling into the boat. But as soon as they like really clock who it is, they quickly shed this hero cloak that they've been given and try to like ball it up and put it in a corner, and sit on the other side of Ash, like the other side where Jet isn't, and are kind of just go into this mode of like just rapid fire questions of like, have you been looking at storms? What kind of storms have you been coming up across? Are they big? Have you seen any different pattern? And just like is nonstop, like barely giving you a chance to answer the question before they have another question behind them.
Ash is sort of responding, kind of. It's nice to have the distraction of not just having like a "when are we gonna get there?" It's nice to sort of answer someone's questions and see that someone's interested in the type of work that she does, even though she's still like her mind is split between two different things.
I think the questioning at some point turns into, since Ahi has done a little like learning of researching duties from their other mom who does also research on storms, although more like it's dictated to them by like a group that studies it, so nothing storm chasey or as like interesting to Ahi as that. But they are kind of like, oh, so have you been doing, and like kind of pulling up like technical terms that they're hoping like maybe that'll impress you if like they pull out their like, have you used this instrument? I've been checking and notating these like coordinates for these storms, and like, have you seen that one?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've seen all sorts of storms. How do you know? What have you been reading? I feel like some of this stuff is very a little advanced for 16-year-old.
Yeah, that like Ahi will take that as a compliment and like puff up a little bit, whether if it was or not. And they're like, oh yeah, my mom says that they've been training me on researching duties. That's what I was supposed to be doing until and they like make like a hand motion, kind of like a zapping hand motion to be like before they became a beacon. And they're like, these are notebooks that I've been taking from my mom's study. She told me that like I'm not supposed to really read all this stuff, but like her lessons are so short, and I'm interested in like the big storms, not the little ones that are, close to harbor.
Yeah, well, the big storms are where all the unknown is, so I get it. And I feel like there's sort of maybe like a similar vibe between like storm chasers and scholars in the same way there are between like theoretical physicists and like practical physicists, in that, maybe there's a little bit of a disconnect there between those two groups, but Ash just sort of says what she knows, and sort of is encouraging Ahi to continue working, but also maybe getting out there instead of reading books, which maybe her moms might not approve of.
Yeah. I feel like there have probably been discussions before where like whenever Ahi has like met Ash before, where they're like, that's good for her, but you stay at home and learn first.
I love that so much. So we have this really wholesome exchange here over the next couple of hours, and it's starting to dip into past afternoon. Gizbar, you're able to tell what time of day it is. There isn't a sun, but you can tell by the way that the stars are moving and positioning, the intensity of their light, showing that it's not quite dark yet, to the point where it's evening time. But you're approaching the equivalent of like 4 p.m. as we approach Empathy's Embrace. Can you tell me what Empathy's Embrace looks like, Jax?
Yeah, as the boat kind of comes around, it sees mostly a rocky shore, but leading up there is just like a bit of a small forest before you get into the really like mountainous and hilly parts of the island. A few scattered houses, and in one of them we find Jax, who is kind of sitting in a pretty comfy chair, just like finishing the last pages of a notebook. She's kind of taken some time from one of the travels that she has been on, and in that travel, she finished off one of the journals that she has been collecting. Jax travels to collect the stories of the people that were left after the Maelstrom hit, and making sure that their memories continue. And as she kind of gets the vibe that this is around the time that Gizbar is supposed to be arriving, she kind of closes up the book, and you see her put it on a shelf that's kind of a 4-tier shelf that is filled with these different journals, and grabs an empty one, settles it into her bag, and starts walking towards the shore.
Excellent. Just to follow the domino effect, you end up being at the shore for 2 hours longer than you expected. What do we see as the boat's coming up? What is Jax doing or look like? What are they thinking after 2 hours of anxiously being at the shore?
Yeah, Jax's vibe is mostly one of it will happen when it happens. And so she's just kind of like found a rock and is watching the stars kind of flow across the horizon. Jax is a dark-skinned black woman who has shoulder-length braids. She's wearing all black, but then a maroon like hooded vest over it. Similar to Ash, is mid-30s and is just kind of doodling a little bit in the front page of the notebook, but it's just kind of watching the tides roll past and kind of hanging out while she waits for the boat to get there.
Excellent. And you do see the compass pull up, and there seem to be 3 people aboard, and you are probably familiar with the bulbous silhouette of Jet. How did the 3 of you react to seeing Jax casually, calmly waiting for you?
Ash is very, I think, familiar with Jax and knows that Jax does not sort of mirror her anxious energy, and is very used to the fact that, whereas she will point out that Gizbar is 2 hours late, Jax is very much Gizbar is 2 hours late, and that's fine.
Listen, you youngsters are so unappreciative. A ride's a ride.
It's not that I'm unappreciative, it's just that I would further appreciate timeliness.
Sure. But I don't know. I could be dead. At least I'm alive.
You're right. I'm sorry.
Navigating these treacherous waters takes time, patience, and a little bit of this. Don't you forget it. Also, hey, Jax, how's it going? Long time to see.
Hi, Gizbar, right on time today, right?
No, always exactly where I need to be when I need to be there. I glare at everyone else. Got any stories for me this time, Jax?
Oh, full of them. What are you interested in today?
Come on aboard. We got a couple hours till the next stop. Feel free to regale us with your tales. I love hearing them.
And Jax will step on the boat and in one of the little side pouches that she has, grabs a piece of like a fish jerky and tosses it over to Jet as she gets on the boat.
Yeah, as it's hurtling through the air, you just see the wide mouth open up like an abyss, a void, and just takes it midair.
You gotta spoil him.
Nah, I don't think he's, we want to see how big he can get.
I feel like during this exchange, he has had jumped out of the boat when you two were still talking and kind of just hand motions. Jack's like, all right, let's go, let's get it. But doesn't say anything, and then once you're on, kind of starts pushing the boat physically a little bit, whether or not y'all are actually ready to go, but doesn't push it where it goes off or anything, because they still are kind of this is Gizbar's boat, and I don't want to lose favor or anything.
The group of you notice that after the fish jerky has been dispensed, that Jet has turned bodily to face towards wherever you settle down, Jax, and completely disregards anything that Ahi is doing, anything that Ash is doing.
Yeah, I think Jax just kind of chuckles to herself and gets settled. Kind of also sitting, maybe sharing a bench with where Ash was sitting, and just kind of makes faces at Jet.
Ooh. Jet is completely expressionless. Just those eyes. Dark and deep like the sky. The next couple of hours will pass by uneventfully. You do see that to the northeast, as you're leaving Empathy's Embrace, the storm of the Shred, this stretch of ocean between the Isles and Stronghold, it seems to be boiling over. It seems to be growing. It seems to be tumultuous, explosive sound. You see the sky rippling with what looks like fire behind thick curdled clouds. It is absolutely terrifying, but Gizbar is very careful to maneuver around it carefully here, and your trip is smooth sailing. By the time you get to Pride Point, the last of the settlements here in the Moon Isles, you see that there is an older lady waiting at the dock. You see that she has brown skin, her hair is pulled back into a neat bun. She is wearing an oversized tan jacket, perfect for the biting sea salt air. And she is holding a parcel with both hands, sitting on a bench by herself on the dock. And as you're pulling up, she stands up and moves to the edge of the dock, waiting.
Hello? Fancy a ride?
Hello there. Are you on your way to Stronghold?
Why, yes, I am. How did you know? Or is that just your destination? You're hoping we're going to the same place?
I am hoping we are going in the same place. If it was not, then I would wait for the next boat.
It's your lucky day. You're looking at the compass. I'm not sure if you've heard of us, but we'll get you where you want to go. Alive.
Well, that is preferable, yes. I'm sorry I haven't heard of you until now. And she begins to board the ship, and she sits down next to Ahi. She has these large, oversized spectacles that she adjusts to look you up and down. You're not wearing your cloak anymore, right? No, okay. Immediately disregards you, looks over to the other two. Interesting passengers.
From my travels and like picking up people like constantly, I mean, Gizmo is basically a water Uber driver at this point. Is this someone that I may have seen before or an unfamiliar face?
Let's see here. Let's do a roll.
Ooh, first roll?
Yeah.
Oh,
I think this will
honored.
be a mind check. Okay, so let me explain to everyone a little bit of the dice mechanics here. So when we roll here with shift, we essentially have 3 different stats. We have mind, body, and soul. And if you have a trait that can be applicable for whatever the challenge is, you can also add that into your dice pool and then roll. Essentially, the way that the rolling results work is anything that's 1, 2, or 3 is a success. 1 is a critical success. 4 and anything higher is going to be a range of failure to critical failure. So the different stats that we have and the different traits that we have are associated with different die depending on how good you are at it. So for example, we'll say Gizbar, you have the trait Skilled Wayfinder that has a D4 attached to it, which means you have a pretty high chance of succeeding because you have to roll a 1, 2, or 3 to succeed. 4 is a critical failure, right? So that's a 75% chance. Whereas the lowest die is a D12, you have a much smaller pool of success because it's 1, 2, or 3 is a success, and then 4 all the way to 12 is a failure. The 12 on a D12 is going to be the critical failure there. So, give me a mind check here as you're trying to recall. You've seen a lot of faces here. Let's see if you can conjure up a memory.
And may I bargain with you to use
Yes.
my Skilled Wayfinder? One of my keywords is search. So if I'm maybe trying to recall seeing a face, remembering a face.
Yeah, that makes
throw in a
perfect
D4?
sense. Yeah, absolutely. So you are going to add your Skilled Wayfinder, which is a D4. So that's going to be a 1D4 plus your mind, which is a 1D8. In the case that any of us roll a die and it's like the same die for 2 different things, it's really important to distinct which one is which, because if you fail on one but succeed on the other, it kind of helps flavor how it plays out.
Yes, the lower the roll, the better in this case. So
Yeah.
never have I wanted a nat one more than now, right? In this game. All right, so I'll roll I have a D4 and a D8.
Okay.
Oh. Great. I got a 6 on the D8 and a 4 on the D4.
Okay. All right. That means that's a critical failure.
Off to a great start.
So when you have a critical failure, you have to shift one of your traits or attributes down.
Yeah.
So essentially, the way that the shift mechanic works is you'll have different things throughout the game that will shift down or shift up which dice you're using. So up to you, Chris, if you want to shift your mind down or your Skilled Wayfinder down.
Well, it was my Skilled Wayfinder dice that failed. So,
Okay. Yeah. Okay,
yeah.
so we'll shift that down. So instead of a
So we'll shift
D4, it's a D6 now
Ugh,
until you
brutal.
restore it. Yeah.
My one good thing I'm good at. Jeez. And then yeah, even a 6 isn't great on the mind. Right?
Yeah, but it's just a regular failure, so
Yeah,
nothing happens.
yeah.
But the good thing is, and make sure you write this down somewhere, because you got a dice shifted down, you get 1 experience point.
Yes.
Woo!
Hey.
So describe to me why this fails so badly, how it makes you tired or makes you to struggle a little more for the rest of the day.
Well, so funny enough, I do have as part of my Skilled Wayfinder skill that one of the drawbacks is memory, which means like when I kind of fail that, I do kind of my memory fogs up a bit. So this kind of makes sense. I'm trying to recall if I've seen this person, and I just for the life of me can't remember anything about this person or this face, or probably never seen this person before. So I feel a little more just foggy in the head, I think.
Okay. So to explain drawbacks a little bit, when you have a trait, you essentially have tags or keywords associated with that trait that kind of helps expand what it can encompass and the different things that you can incorporate with that trait. So for example, Gizbar's Skilled Wayfinder has the keywords darkness and search. And search was the one that we tagged into there. Drawbacks are going to basically be negative keywords that impede or can be touched on in situations. You won't necessarily have a drawback. So just as a reminder, the drawbacks aren't actually in place right now. But actually, we're going to go ahead and do that. So instead of shifting your D4 down, I'm going to give you the drawback of memory here. So you do actually have the memory drawback now, but you can change your D6 back to a D4.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. So your
having a
memory's
D4
a little foggy here, and you're kind of looking at this lady, trying to remember if you remember her, and she gives you a bit of an ugly look, just kind of pouting her lip at you, and what are you looking at? Oh,
Sorry.
mind your own business.
Sorry, can't say I've seen you around. You new to these parts?
I've
traveled
never
these
seen
waters.
you in my life.
Listen, I've been around a while. If you haven't seen me, it's something wacky's going on. Sorry, where you
I
from
don't
here?
know. I'm from Pride Point, and I've been here my whole life.
Well, that explains it. I barely go there.
Oh, well, you're missing out on a lot. And I think it kind of just continues this bickering back and forth with the older lady. She doesn't really give any details of why or where she's going, other than Stronghold is her destination. And unfortunately, as you're beginning to pull away from Pride Point, this is the longest stretch of the journey between the open ocean of Pride Point to Stronghold. So it's going to be about 6 hours of having to suffer this cranky lady.
Ash
Oh no.
is just oversensitized with the bickering and her wanting to get to Stronghold really fast, and she can she use like Storm's Ruin to try to make the wind like push the
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's see here. You want to use Storm's Brewing. All right, I would like you to roll me either mind or soul, depending on how you want to utilize your trait here, your powers. So with the Gale, you have access to essentially lightning, storm, or weather-based powers here, and with your Storms of Bruin, we're going to utilize that. What is the source of your magic here?
Right now, because it's sort of out of her, I think, frustration. I feel like it'd be soul, even though it's a lower dice, but or it's a higher dice, because it's more out of an emotion of annoyance and anxiety.
Okay. Yeah. So what we're going to do here is we're going to actually roll the D6 from your soul and your D4. So you get to roll both of them.
Okay.
Yep. With the way that rolling here in Shift works is you're going to always use one of your core traits. And the traits being added additionally on top of them, your focus traits, those are supplemental if you can basically convince me that they're relevant.
Rolling real well here. That's a 4 for Storm's Bruin and a 5 for Soul.
What's going on today?
No. Okay, that means you crit failed on your Storm's Brewing and you failed regularly on your Soul. Okay.
Starting off strong.
These waters are
Not
Okay.
truly.
I think this is perfect. All right, please tell me if this is okay. I want everyone to know that you have agency of saying, oh, I don't like that, and we can come up with something else. I want to give you a drawback for your critical failure on the Storms Brewing, and your drawback will be temperamental. I think that because you're feeling kind of emotional, maybe this is kind of tied into being emotional. And essentially, when you cast your magic, it's going to tap into your emotions, if that's okay with you.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So describe to me how this fizzles out, what happens, why doesn't it work?
Ash just sort of she fancies herself an intellectual person. So she thinks she's tapping into her mind right now, but she is very much like out of kind of like just feeling on edge, just sort of focuses on the wind and the movement of the boat and tries to just force the wind forward, but is sort of unable to really concentrate because of this bickering between Gizbar and this woman that has joined them and just really um can't concentrate and can't focus.
Yeah.
Uh
I think what happens here is you also see that some of the storm begins to drift in your direction. Very slowly, it's not a threat yet, but it's almost as if when you take a cotton ball and you begin to pull it apart, or when you have cotton candy and you're pulling it apart, those very fine gossamer threads that are coming loose, one of the clouds of the storm in the shred is pulling towards your direction, almost as if being called by your spell.
um Sort of noticing that she's not getting her result, Ash just sort of calls it off and resigns herself to sitting there with two bickering people and not getting to where she wants to go on time.
Excellent.
Pride's Point. What's so great about Pride's Point? Blah blah blah.
Blah, 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 blah. Ahi, Jax, how are you taking these awful 6 hours?
I feel like Ahi maybe is like more used to kind of this like bickering back and forth, like being from a pretty small town. There's a lot of people that have a lot of like history with each other that are just kind of like random little things, like petty arguments. So I feel like they're a little more used to this kind of thing. And they're just like making faces. Sometimes that like Jax or Ash to see if they like agree with them, but they're just like rolling their eyes and they're just like, oh my god, these these old folks. I think maybe like at some point they're like kind of at the beginning of when this passenger first came on, they might have like kind of whispered towards Ash and Jax like, wow, this lady is really rude. Doesn't really make me want to visit Pride Point. I don't think that Ahi has really been to Pride's Point either, so doesn't really know anything about it. I think they're just more like, I wouldn't want to run into them. Jeez.
Yeah, and I think Jax lasts all of like an hour before she's like, okay, maybe I should step in to stop the bickering at least for a little bit. And I think she like resettles a little bit closer to the old woman and just kind of sits there for a little bit looking out over the ocean. And then after there's like a break in the bickering, just kind of Jax has the vibe of somebody that people just like want to talk to. You know how like sometimes you're friends with folk that people just walk up to them and just start telling their life stories. Jax is one of those people. And so it gives just like a little bit of time for the older woman to get used to Jax being a little closer, and then just like, so you mentioned that you have been on Pride Point for your whole life. What brings you to Stronghold all of a sudden?
I love this so much. Okay, yeah, eventually you can tell that the older woman is kind of tired from arguing, and they're like, oh, that's enough. And then they're basically like pull out their lunch, like their dinner, and they begin to eat. So they have this moment of a break, and they keep looking over to you. And as you say that, she adjusts her spectacles, and you see that she breaks her sandwich in half, and she offers you some of it, Jax. And she says, well, I've been hearing all sorts of rumors. There's something very bad that's been happening over the Isles, over Stronghold, this part of the ocean.
Oh, what kind of, and Jax will accept the part of the sandwich and then offer a bit of like the jerky that she had been carrying back to the old woman. And as she settles in, it's just like, oh, what kind of rumors have you been hearing?
Oh, terrible things. I heard the lighthouse in Stronghold has gone out. Do you know how dangerous that is? It's the largest lighthouse in this part of the ocean. And you see they accept the jerky and they're kind of gesticulating with it, pointing it around like a stick. They don't actually put it in their mouth at any point, but they hold on to it. It's so dangerous. These waters, they're rocky. The boats need guidance. People can get lost out here. And sometimes they don't come back home.
No, I don't think I had heard that the lighthouse in Stronghold had gone out. What brings you out into the ocean then?
Oh, I just want to do my part and try to help if I can. And you see her kick the parcel that's at her feet very, very gently, and she says, I have some expertise in tinkering. I have done my own fair share of mechanical engineering and fixing up whatever I can on Pride Point. But I don't know anything about lighthouses. But you never know. Someone has to do something, and maybe I can be that someone.
Yeah, I think at the mention again of lighthouses, every once in a while Jax's attention will just flicker over to Ahi, and just like kind of taking in the conversation. Yeah. Just anything else? I think Ahi, you have unmuted.
Yeah, I think like the mention of the lighthouse, you see kind of Ahi, they have like a long sleeve shirt on that they're like tugging at the sleeves, and like if you I assume like Jax probably notices like there's a little bit of a glow that happens on their skin. You see it only on their hands, and maybe like a little bit through the shirt material, and you can see them kind of like rubbing almost like someone who might have like a blush or something coming on, and they're just like, no, not right now. And they're like definitely like I'm sure like Jax will notice that they are like very keenly listening, but also trying very hard to look like they are not listening at all. And they're like mumbling a little bit under their breath, like, there's always a lighthouse that needs to be fixed or something else. There's always something to do. Gotta add to my task list. They're just kind of like mumbling annoyingly.
And for both Ash and Gizbar, you would know that this is a very serious problem if it's true. Especially you, Gizbar. So many times, even the most experienced sailing person, without guidance, if there's a fog, if there's a storm, sometimes you lose your direction, and it can easily cost you your boat. It can easily endanger the people on your ship. And so as you are sailing across this open stretch of ocean now, the storm slowly stretching towards you, you get the sense that it's going to be really dangerous coming up to Stronghold, because you might not see it come up. You might have to slow down. You might have to navigate the rocky shores.
Yeah, I guess if I did overhear the conversation that Jax and the old nameless lady, I guess we don't know her name yet, had, I'm like, wait, hold on a second. The lighthouse in Stronghold's out.
Yes.
Everybody better buckle down then. This may be a rocky trip.
You see the old lady just like grip the chair, the bench that she's sitting on, and she's beginning to shake, eyes wide, a fear striking her features.
I guess I will also shoot a look toward Ahi a little bit, kind of knowing what their deal is, and I'll just a slight little nod, just be like, this may get sticky.
I think like the attention from both Jax and Gizbar, I think like he can feel it like burning into their back. They're just like, oh, no. And they also like, as much as they're like not particularly happy about everything that is being talked about, they are starting to imagine, like, as soon as Gizbar is like a little worried about our way in, they don't really want us to like drown or like capsize or something. So as we are moving forward, I think Ahi is gonna try to, let me see. I think I'll use the light within. One of my keywords for the light within is surround. And I
Ooh.
think they're going to try to do like kind of a shield of light around the boat. So like even though we may not, like, I think Ahi might have tried to do something for the land, but because we don't know where anything is, they can't really do anything for something they can't see. So they're just gonna at least make the boat as protected as possible.
I love this. Okay. Would you say that this is a mind or soul core trait you're going to use here? Is it coming from more of like your feeling, your heart, or is it more logical, technical?
I think mine makes more sense. I think they're kind of just thinking about this is the best course of action in that moment. And I think that's kind of what convinces Ahi to start doing it, especially because this new person is on the boat, so they wouldn't normally want to really reveal their hands so quickly, but because maybe like the waters are getting a little choppy, they see the storm coming in, and I think that's also enough. Like they know enough about storms to know that things are about to get really dicey.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so go ahead and roll me your mind and your light within. So that's going to be a D8 and a D4.
Cool. Okay, the light within is a 2, but the mind roll is a 5.
Okay, so describe to me what it looks like as your light within manages to succeed in what you're trying to do here, but perhaps you feel kind of tired or it weighs on you in some way.
Yeah, I think Ahi really is trying hard to not make it look like they're doing anything. So they're kind of at the edge of the boat, and they're sort of trying to make this bubble like as transparent as possible and like maybe as close to the shape of the boat as they can. So they're just using up a lot of energy to make it not visible, and because of that they're kind of straining themselves and using up a little too much energy for something that could have been very simple for them. So they're like sweating and they're like getting overheated and like just a little too much effort for a simple task.
I love this. Perhaps Ahi might be a little too anxious to notice, but Jax, you are very confident that this lady doesn't notice Ahi at all because she's so enraptured to talk to you about what's going on. And she keeps looking over at Ash and offering some of the conversation to Ash as well. Ash, as you are sitting there, you see the storm is still continuing to pull towards you. It's almost drifting. Is there anything that you want to do about that? So you did fail in trying to make the boat go faster, but you can absolutely do anything else that you want.
Okay, I will try to channel the storm and just sort of like push it away from us, or just like try to make like a barrier so it doesn't get any closer.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So here it sounds like you're using Storms of Ruin, channel keyword. Did you want to use your mind or your soul?
I think in Ash's, I think, expertise is, even though she has a lot of anxiety and a lot of FOMO, when she is in a situation where there's a lot of danger, she is able to sort of concentrate and use her mind and act cool under pressure. So I will go with mind.
Okay. Go ahead and roll me a mind and Storms of Ruin. So that's going to be a D8 and a D4.
A D8, okay. A 3 for Storms of Bruin and a 6 for Mind.
Okay. Unfortunately, it's not a critical failure. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
it does fizzle out. Describe to me why you're not able to harness and wrangle the storm here.
Um, I think that Ash was not expecting this particular storm to be as powerful as it was, and it sort of jolts her a little bit. She was, just from visually, she thinks she knows the amount of power that needs to go into this, but is underestimating this just because she wasn't ready for it.
Yeah, this particular storm seems to have bouts of fire. It's almost as if someone's taking a flamethrower behind the clouds. And maybe you've seen this once or twice in your adventures, but it's extremely rare, extremely uncommon. There's something very wrong about this storm, something different about it.
Um, but there's a success with the Storms of Bruin, right? With the 3.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I'm so sorry. I totally botched that. Yes. So the Storms of Brewing does succeed. The Mind is a regular failure. So tell me how you managed to push through expending some of your mind to wrangle it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think noticing that it is more powerful, even though she's underestimated it, takes a breath and puts a little bit more energy into this and is able to just sort of like maybe not divert it as far away as she would have liked, but successfully it's not getting closer to the boat, to the compass.
I love it. Do any of your companions on the boat, do you see this? How are you reacting? The old lady doesn't seem to be paying attention, just talking to Jax.
If I do notice both Ash and he assisting in some way, I'll kind of like direct a thought towards them and just be like, bless your hearts, kids. Anything that makes my job easier, I super appreciate. Also, especially you, Jax. I mean, taking the heat off me, that conversation with her was exhausting, so thank you. And if you'd like to kind of round out the navigating through this storm, can I do a skilled wayfinder?
Yes, you can.
I do have keywords of search and darkness. Search obviously makes sense, but if there is a darkness also that we are navigating, I mean, especially with no light.
Yep.
Like, are we that close to Stronghold that we should be seeing light, or we're still far out?
We'll say that we are coming up onto it.
Okay.
This is towards the end of the 6 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, you can absolutely use darkness here. You are literally surrounded by darkness.
Yeah. Would this also be a mind as well?
That's up to you if you want to use mind or soul.
Yeah. I'll use mind.
Okay, so give me a
I will
D8.
use my expertise of the surrounding area, like the way the wind's blowing, seeing how Ash is kind of maneuvering the storm energy, and then obviously with a little bit of assistance from Ahi as well. I'll use mine.
Okay, mind, and then skilled wayfinder is a D4 on top of that.
For now.
For now.
Oh my gosh! One's on both.
Okay, fantastic.
Holy
So
moly.
this is special.
Wow. I
You
was saving
have
the luck for
rolled
later.
a critical success. So a critical success is going to be when you roll all dice, natural ones. In the case that a critical success goes off, basically you get to add a bonus here. You get to take it a step further and add some kind of embellishment in your favor.
I'll say the time that it takes us to get there is just like significantly cut down. We get there way faster. Like I just used the winds to our advantage. I look back at everyone kind of all snarky. We're like, "Oh yeah, I was late, eh? How about this?" We just blast off through the storm. We'll get to where you want to go earlier than you expected. Trust me.
I love that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
This 6-hour trip is actually 4 hours, and you are on time now.
Yeah. Like I said, always on time, exactly where I need to be and when I need to be there. I look back to the older lady, who I guess I don't know. What's she doing right now?
She looks a bit perplexed. You see her adjust her glasses and she's kind of fidgeting with this piece of jerky that she has. Looks up at you, looks around. I can't tell where we are. It's dark. It's just more water and more shadow.
Yeah, I guess in a way to reassure her, but also like kind of a bit boasty because I don't know, her energy was a little weird earlier.
Yeah.
But I also don't want to like out my comrades of like their powers and stuff. I'll just be like, listen, you're in good company. If anyone's gonna get you to Stronghold safely, especially with these diabolical conditions, it's this crew right here.
Oh. I feel safe. I will say that much.
And especially that one, I point to Jet.
Oh
He's gonna-
heavens! I
he's got your
didn't
back.
notice. What
He's got your back
foul
more than all of us.
creature! Is this a demon?
Some would say. Some would say.
Is it dangerous?
Only if you look at him wrong.
Oh, you see that she starts sweating. She looks away. She casts her gaze down and starts eating the jerky.
And he's got a name. It's Jet. And you refer to him as such.
Yes, I will.
Also a world question.
Yeah.
How does like currency work in this?
In this world, essentially, we are so limited on resources. Currency is probably going to be in the form of bartering in most cases. Sometimes the bartering and offer of skills and trade of items as well. I would imagine there is some kind of like actual money currency, but for the most part, I think it's also equally acceptable to barter.
Okay. I asked because like with, Ash, Ahi, and Jax, I feel like we've probably always like talked about, the exchange. Like that's probably like an unspoken thing. Like they'll get me back in some way. But lady just kind of walked on my boat and I'd be like, it's time to have the hard conversation. Listen, going to Stronghold under these conditions. Just wondering what you've
You're
I don't-
expecting a tip, aren't you?
not just a tip, a flat payment. A tip would
Well,
be nice.
of course I'm going to pay for my fairy person, but all
Listen,
right.
it's an honest living, all right? I gotta
I'm
feed
really-
this.
I'm glad I didn't
insatiable
have to
frog.
wait an extra day or two and looks over at Jet immediately, turns away. They reach into their parcel and they say, well, I've got a few gears and tinker tools, an extra sandwich.
As she says sandwich, I like raise an eyebrow to Jet. I'm like, all right, that's dinner.
Jet just turns bodily towards you, expressionless, big eyes.
Jet will take some of those gears and gizmos, and you can toss that sandwich over to Jet.
Fantastic. You see her pull out the sandwich and she looks really hesitant. She offers the sandwich to Jax and says, would you be a dear and cast it towards the demon?
Yeah,
Listen,
Jax
you can't say
again.
that to his face.
he can hear you.
Yeah, he can hear you. Jeez.
Oh, starts sweating even nervouslier.
What do you think I get to get my payments if I don't get them on time? It's that frog.
Yeah, I feel like right as when you were saying that is when Ahi has like come up to this woman and is like, Jet makes sure that Gizbar gets paid, and just like really cryptically, and then doesn't say anything else.
Even frog, yeah.
I love it. Okay, and then she'll hand over the gears and gizmos. And what this looks like, I will go ahead and add a little handout to you here. So this will go to you unless you want to pass it over to someone else, Gizbar. The way that this will essentially take form is you get a trait. This trait is going to be called Gears and Gizmos. It's going to be a limited trait that you can only really use once. It's going to have the keywords modular and mechanical. The drawbacks is that it's very heavy. So it's going to be a bit difficult to just wield around in your pocket. As you can see with the parcel that this woman had, it's basically the size of a suitcase.
Wow. Very cool. Does that start at a D6?
That's a D8.
D8, sorry, D8.
Yep.
Very cool. I
yeah.
mean, I guess while we're on the boat, I can hold on to it if I feel like anyone else has an idea for it. Feel free to use it as well.
Okay. As the group of you begin to pull up to Stronghold, you see the silhouette, unmistakable, of Stronghold itself. It was once some kind of fortification, maybe a castle of some kind, and it was over time ruined by natural wear and tear of the weather around you. And people are trying their best to restore it and maintain it, but you see it in its crumbled glory in the horizon here as you're pulling up towards the shoreline. You have this stony fortification that comes up into a central building and a sprawl of homes and businesses at the foot of this this dwelling. And you know that the people who work in the stronghold are scientists and they are researchers. It is a place of learned study, not a place to glorify a leader, and it is more of a place to hide and shelter when the storms become particularly bad. And when you're coming up towards Stronghold, you notice glaringly there is no light coming from the lighthouse. You seek it, you search for it, you only see the ruined tower, you only see the shadow of the world here. But with that double success, that critical success, you are able to navigate expertly into the dock of Stronghold. And you can see as the group of you are approaching the compass, finally making berth here, that there are a lot of worried people at the dock. There are people trying to flag you down. They have little lanterns that are so tiny and minuscule pinpoints of light. In most circumstances, they would not help a ship whatsoever. You probably can't see it more than a couple yards out because of how thick the storm is. But as you are landing, someone begins running up to your ship. And you all recognize this person as someone who's a friend. Except Ahi, because you've never been here before. You don't know who this is. But for Ash, Jax, and Gizbar, you know this to be Eliza, the dock master. You've seen them every time you've come to Stronghold. You've talked to them, and they are a very kind and empathetic person. And she is in some kind of trouble, and you can see it on her face. But we will pick up after a short break. Please join me in taking a little break here. We're going to do a little bit of stretching, grab some water, maybe a snack or two, and we'll be back in about 5 minutes. Be right back, everybody. And we are back. Thank you so much for your patience, everyone. So we open back up to the four of you just docking, pulling into place. You can see that there are people at the docks that are pulling the compass in, and they're trying to help orient things. They're holding up these lanterns that are more helpful now that y'all are closer, but at a distance, like a mile away, it was nothing. You barely even saw it. It is completely unsubstantial. And as you are docking, you notice that someone is barreling towards you, fear on their face, and you recognize this to be Eliza. And Eliza slides to a stop in front of you, Ash, and she says, "Oh, I'm so glad that you're okay.
What's going on?
The lighthouse is out. We've had a number of reports that ships have been crashing left and right, missing the island entirely, getting lost and even drifting off into the shred."
Do we know what's going on with the lighthouse?
Oh, something has broken down. We had hoped that the Glory would have been here by now. I think we are expecting someone to bring a shipment of supplies. And as she says this, Gizbar, you would recognize the Glory to be the name of another ship.
Ah, the Glory, huh? I mean, I hope they make it safe at some point, but listen, it ain't no compass, so it might take them some time.
It's been a few days. I have no idea. They should be here by now.
You know where they were coming from?
The last I knew, they were headed over towards Hermit Hold to speak with the inventor over there. And you would all know that Hermit Hold isn't a settlement, so it's not on the map, but one of the islands near Empathy's Embrace has a single house. And that house is where somebody lives. I would pose the question to Jax. Have you ever been to visit the hermit?
Probably, if only because since they live alone, it would be hard for like them to have contact with other folk, and so on like her travels back, probably would have stopped a couple times just to check in to make sure that they were still chilling.
Mm-hmm. I think you would know that it's quite regular that people in Stronghold care about the scattered folks in the Moon Isles. Not everyone has access to getting a home in one of these settlements, or perhaps for whatever reason they just choose not to, and they prefer the isolation, or they prefer the privacy. And those people, it's really important to check on them. And you would know specifically the hermit is someone who tends to turn away people, someone who's extremely suspicious and difficult to talk to. I think the couple of times that you've tried to talk to them, you've had the door shut in your face. And it has always been expressed to you that you shouldn't take it personal. They've just been through a lot, but they really appreciate that you've checked in on this person. So you know exactly where this house is. You've been there. You've tried. And this person has barely even peeked their head out from between their door crack.
Would I have seen them recently?
No, I don't think so.
Huh. Yeah, I think then upon hearing that, Jax is trying to just like think back to the last time that they would have stopped by. And the last time they were fine, but it's been a while. And so generally kind of share the concern of if they were even able to find the person.
Oh, I believe that the Glory was on the way to seek out Hermit Hold and try to see if there was some kind of solution for the lighthouse going out. I don't know. I think the last time someone's checked in on Guillermo has been a month, maybe? If the supplies are ready and the Glory got lost on the way there, or oh no, what if they've been sunk in the shred and the supplies are at the bottom of the ocean? And you see that Eliza begins to sob and she is shaking, crying.
On the way from like the path that we took to here, you said it was a couple of days ago, right? Would I have maybe seen or heard of anything like the Glory? Like especially if I'm familiar with it, like passed through or was spotted anywhere?
I would say that you know what the Glory looks like. You definitely didn't see it in the last 3 days. Maybe 2 ships passing in the night kind of thing, you know?
Yeah. Then in that case, I will seeing Eliza sobbing. I will keep that information to myself because I don't want to worry her more. I don't want to be like, I didn't see it. But yeah, noting that it might not have made it that far, then, is what I'm thinking.
Eventually, go ahead.
I just try to calm Eliza down, sort of spouting statistics of what I know of shipwrecks and how the captain of the Glory is probably a very seasoned sailor, and they know how to get out of a bind.
Okay, let's do a check here. We're gonna go ahead and say this sounds like a soul because you're trying to connect with someone. Wait, with statistics, I think you can even argue mind. Do you have a preference? Do you want to go soul or mind?
Well, I have deep in the mind as a ability, and it's sort of keywords are formed to navigate. So I'm like informed on the situation, and I'm trying to navigate it emotionally. So I feel like
Okay.
I could use soul and use deep in the mind as sort of like a mind,
Yeah.
as a dual skill.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. Okay, so your soul is going to be a d6, and your deep in the mind is also a d6. So be sure to keep in mind which die is which.
Okay. Deep in the mind is 5, but soul is 2.
Okay. So I think what happens here is as you're giving these statistics, you see that Eliza is crying harder and doesn't seem to be consoled whatsoever by the hard numbers. But eventually, as the conversation, you're navigating through it, it's pretty clear that you're trying to connect to this person. You're trying to do it for a good reason. And just the fact that you are engaging with her and trying to calm her down, she looks at you in the eyes and her sobbing begins to slow, and she takes in deep, ragged breaths and catches it eventually, and she says, well, if I know you just got here and I don't know what brings you to Stronghold, but if it's okay with you, could I please request you to go investigate, see what Guillermo has to say about what happened?
I turn to Gizbar and like,
Listen, I'm headed back that way at some point anyways. I mean, I don't mind making a detour for you, Eliza. You've always been there for me, so listen, we'll do what we can, but I mean, do you also need help with the lighthouse?
If you think you can help, you're certainly welcome to try. I mean, we have an island of inventors and mechanical geniuses that have been unable to put it together and are relying on Guillermo, but you can certainly look if you like. And as you're having this like really distressed, heartfelt conversation, you just see the old lady, like she just kind of walks on and she just kind of leaves without saying anything.
Yeah, I guess when she says that, I was gonna look at the old lady, be like, well, we just happened to pick up someone who said she could. Hey, where'd you go?
And she just leaves, waddling away.
Just
I mean,
old
she
lady
did.
shaped cartoon smoke.
I mean, she did give me these gizmos and gadgets. We could try tinkering around. I mean, I'm not the best with that kind of thing, but perhaps if we all take a look, maybe we can figure something out.
Okay.
Yeah, I think at the same time, like he has probably put the cloak back on at this point. Like as we had gotten closer, it is like a very like pained sigh, like goes up and is like, I might be able to help with that, and is no longer like trying to hide the like glow that is coming off of them. So it's a lot brighter, the way it would naturally like kind of go when they're not trying to
Yeah,
keep it in.
I love this. So, like, Eliza's, like, looking to Ash and just, like, sobbing, you know, and then looking to Gizwar, wiping her tears. And then she looks over at you, perhaps for the first time, Ahi, and her jaw drops. She stares at you. You're probably pretty used to this kind of reaction. And she says, you're a beacon. You're a beacon. From...
Oh, shh, you don't need to yell it. I'm sure like there's like a bunch of people in the dock that are looking over, and she's like, yes, that's what, okay. I'll tell you if you just please don't yell it out.
So, on the Glory is our beacon. We don't have a beacon here. That is why this is so important. One of the reasons why our lighthouse is not functional. Not only is it not mechanically sound, we don't have a beacon here with us.
Yes, now you do. like starts kind of walking towards like inland a little bit. I don't even think that they really like pay attention whether everyone else is coming with them. They're just sort of like, all right, here we go.
You definitely see some people are like murmuring and whispering, looking at you, and some people are pointing rudely. So we see Ahi beginning to move off inland, heading towards the lighthouse.
I guess I'll gesture to see if everyone else wants to come, but I have like a bag of what I think could help gizmos and gadgets.
I will
You're, like,
follow.
dragging along.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm following as well. Did the old woman also walk in that direction, or did she
Yes.
kind of go in it? Okay.
Yeah, you see, essentially, like, there's, like, a panning out of the camera, and we see the old lady just waddling towards the lighthouse, and then Ahi, and the head's turning with Ahi, everyone you're passing by, just enraptured by your attendance here, and then everyone else. When we get to the lighthouse, you see that, like the fortification, it is also in a ruined state, but there has been a lot more care, a lot more consideration put into this building itself. Ahi, as a beacon, someone who is infused with the light of the sun that no longer exists, you would know that lighthouses, certain ones, are infused with the light as well. And as the group of you are approaching, you get the sense that the light has been abandoned here, that has been removed. This is just an ordinary building now. You can see that there have been patches, essentially, sheets of metal that have been fused into place, wooden structures and scaffolding trying to hold it all up into a formidable form here. But it's slowly being weathered down, and you see quite clearly there's no light from the very top. There are quite a few people gathered here, and you see people having conversations, bickering, murmuring. There are tents, tarps drawn over these tables, and they're scattered with all sorts of papers, and you see all sorts of gadgets lying around. There seem to be at least a dozen people trying to find an alternative solution here. And as you're approaching, you see the old woman joins one of the tables and is just kind of talking and just fades into the background. But everyone turns to look at the group of you.
Does anybody have a good mind roll, like a low mind dice by any chance?
So for our characters with the sheets that we've used to make them, everyone has the same core traits, basically.
Oh, I see. Okay. So I was gonna like offer the ears and gizmos to someone who could use it better, because I'm a D8.
I have an ability deep in the mind, inform to navigate, I can try to use that skill to navigate if I've can figure it out.
Okay. What we can do here is we can do a combined check where you work together, a teamwork roll. So the way that teamwork rolls work is essentially you'll pick one trait each. So we skip the core trait, and you'll both roll. And we'll see what happens. Essentially, you choose how you are going to participate in assisting this. So you can, for example, use the trait of the gizmos, or you can use something else. And Ash could use the navigate off of their deep in the mind, if that's what Ash wants to do.
Yeah, I'm down to do a combined roll with the gears and gizmos.
All right. So I will need a D6 from Ash and a D8 from Gizbar.
All right. Hey, listen, Ash, you helped me out that one time with my boat. I figure you might be the best suited to fix whatever gizmo gadget thing is up there that's malfunctioning.
Yeah, I can help take a look. More.
I don't know what this is or what this thing is. This thing's far too large.
You just pull a
to try
spring and it
anything
goes
else.
boing.
Yeah, bling. Yeah, it's like all the other stuff. Sorry, D8 for me?
Yes.
Okay, mind, right?
It'll be the gizmos itself.
Oh, sorry.
I rolled a 4.
Okay.
Oh, 2.
Okay. So I think what happens here is, Ash, as you are trying to help navigate, like, oh, this could fit like this, there's just a lot of stuff. It's not a reflection of your inexpertise. It's just that there's so much to choose from. There are boxes and barrels of things all around you beyond what Gizbar also has. And Gizbar, you happen to give the right pieces, and we do have a mixed success here, but it hasn't had a critical fail. So tell me what this looks like as you're able to put together some kind of device. What does it look like as you work together? We'll start with Ash.
Ash is very clearly not like she's adjacent to being right. Like she's seen these things before, but she can't quite put them together in a way that is useful. And so she's just pointing out like that I think goes there, and I think that goes there. Like all the puzzle pieces are almost right, but it's just not clicking.
Yeah, I will like. You'll suddenly see the tattoos on Gizbar's body slightly glow, or like a faint blue glow. Um, as I'm just like really like pondering and trying to figure out like what goes where and what does what. Like, this. And I look to like my arm, trying to think like how does this work and try to seek guidance from my tattoos, just for flavor. And you see like almost like IKEA instructions, like shapes forming on my like the inside of my wrist as I look at it as like almost like notes. And I'm just like, huh. And like they don't look fully perfect, but just like shapes that represent things. It's like this goes in here and this goes upwards here, and like all the things that Ash is saying that are the parts that we need. I'm like thinking of those parts, and then those in like symbol form are like kind of like locking together and forming something on my wrist. And I'm just like, that's how it works. I think you put this in here, and you twist this, and you turn this, and then you just have to, the little guy right there, you press that, and then we make a little gadget that, I don't know how lighthouses work. It's a light. I don't know.
Yeah. Pick a shape.
A circle.
Okay, it is a perfect circle that you have created with all these different elements and these different pieces here. And you hold it in your hand. We'll say that it's about the size of like a large pizza. It takes both hands to hold it. It seems to be something of like, kind of like a walk, right? And as you're holding it, people are looking over, trying to figure out what you're doing. Most people seem confused.
I think Ahi has like in the background kind of been just like looking at what the people like that are in the tents and stuff were doing, and maybe like looking a little bit for instruction. They're kind of used to, because most of their beacon work has been in their town where people have just dictated things to them, so they kind of were expecting that here too. They're like, okay, someone's gonna come here, give me a list of things to do, I'll do those things, check them off, and then I'm done. So they like have kind of been hovering to see if someone comes up and is like, all right, beacon, here you go. Here's your chore list.
Yeah, you find the exact opposite. People kind of see you, they're like, oh, you're here, you can help us. And then that's kind of where it just stops. They just stand there and they just smile at you and they just gesture at the lighthouse as if you'll just magically have the answer.
Yeah, so I think like Ahi at first kind of like started with folks that were further away from the lighthouse and we're like, okay, I guess maybe they're like closer to the lighthouse. And then as they go, they're like, oh, okay, no one's telling me what to do. They're just kind of expecting an answer. And I think after that, they just start investigating the lighthouse themselves. I think when they come closer, the like lack of light is almost like starts dimming their light a little bit. Like as they come closer, you can see almost like the front of them kind of gets like a little bit less lit up, as if like the light is being like taken away from some force there.
I'm so glad you say that, because in fact, okay, I would like you to do a roll for me here. We are going to say the light within, and we'll do a soul check here. So that's going to be a D4 for your light within and a D6 for your soul.
Yeah, D6. Okay. That's good.
And I also want to remind my players that you all each have a technique as well. These are special things that you can do once per session. And they do usually come at a cost, or they are very special in some way that they can help you in a sticky situation.
Okay. I got a 4 on the soul roll, but I got a 1 on the light within.
Okay, yay! That's a critical success. Okay, I think how this plays out here is, as you are coming up to the lighthouse, you definitely see that there's something wrong. You touch the lighthouse and somehow you just know it's empty. Not even just physically, but on some kind of metaphysical level, some kind of magical arcane sense of you feels a void, almost as if it's cold, as if something has been taken out of it. It is no longer the heart of Stronghold. It is no longer this symbol of hope. It's just a pile of rocks. Something has been yanked out of it, as if it's been siphoned out. And as you're looking around, I think that the realization of this, it kind of weighs on your soul, and it's kind of dampening. Perhaps it's even a bit frightening, because you are very familiar with the lighthouse on your island. You know how it's supposed to feel, and this just feels like a dead thing. And as you're looking around at the various lamps and lanterns that are hanging underneath these tarps, trying to bay the rain away, you realize the lights are all flickering. They're all very dim. You know very well, in this world full of darkness, what a candle is supposed to look like. You know what torches, how much they're supposed to burn. And everything is dim. Everything is faded. It's almost as if someone has taken on a gas lamp and dialed it down 20%. It's really subtle. Of course, no one else notices this, but you, as a beacon, you're sensitive to this. You realize this.
Yeah. I think if Jax is like nearby, they kind of turn to them, and are like, "It feels cold here. Do you feel that? There's nothing here." And like, they're kind of gesturing towards the lighthouse. They're like kind of talking to Jax and like kind of talking to themselves a little bit as they like investigate what is going on. They're like, we need to get light in here right now. And like I think they finally notice like their own light is dimming, and they're like, yeah, something needs to be done. Look at this. Like, it's taking my light away. Which you would think that they would be happy about, with how upset they've been about all this, but now that it's come to it. I think they'll look over at Gizbar and Ash also, and are like, maybe just trying to see if they've finished up their work.
Were you going to say something, Lexi?
Yes.
Well, I just want to like reorient. So the table that Ash and Gizbar are at, is that close to where, like, so I would have accompanied Ahi as they approached the lighthouse, but just like context wise, are Ash and Gizbar also close to the lighthouse, or are they still kind of a distance away?
We'll say that they're about 10 feet away, and they are currently working on the device.
Okay, second question. So you mentioned Guillermo. Is that the hermit that lives at Hermithold, or is that someone that is on Stronghold?
It is the person at Hermithold,
Okay.
yes.
Bet. Thank you.
You're probably
Yeah.
one of the only few people that know his name, because most people just call him the Hermit.
Sure. Did Eliza stay at the dock, or did they kind of keep walking with us as we approached the lighthouse?
I think they would stay at the dock. They would say, "Good luck. Let me know if you need anything. I need to help everyone here. The last thing we need is another ship crashing."
Oh, then after kind of watching Ahi interact with the lighthouse and seeing their reaction to touching it and interacting with it, I think that Jax is going back into the, okay, clearly something has happened here. These folk are people that have maybe been here since the lighthouse went out, and is gonna start just like walking around to different tables and seeing if she can get a better sense of what has happened in the area.
Okay, yes. You definitely get the sense that there's a mixed disposition of people here. There are people who clearly haven't slept and are trying their very best and nodding off to sleep. Some people are just guzzling what kind of coffee they can get their hands on. Some people are really eager and they begin to over-explain things to you that just either just don't make sense or are just really out there. Let me get a check here from you, and you can decide how you want to approach this. Essentially, let's see how you navigate or converse with a variety of people trying to get information.
So I have a trait of voice of the people. One of the keywords that I have with that is authority, and I think in times of crisis, people look to people who are like have an air of calmness about them. And so I think that Jax is like interacting with the crowd and like trying to calm the people that are over explaining to get at what they are kind of talking about, but also trying to encourage the folk that maybe aren't saying anything but have information to also just like engage in conversation with that.
I think that makes perfect sense. Okay. Do you want to approach this from like a logical point of view or more of trying to connect with people with empathy?
Probably connecting with empathy. I think that that fits more of Jax's way of doing things.
Okay. Let me get a D4 for your voice of the people and a D6 for your soul.
That is a 3 for voice of the people and a 2 for soul.
Okay, so that is a regular success for both of them. Describe to me how you navigate this, if there's like any kind of aesthetic or magic that manifests as you manage to more or less calm people down and have a reasonable discussion with a panel of people.
Yeah, I think in times of quiet, Jax often just like relives some of the stories that she has heard from people, and so is maybe used to like mentally life being a little bit louder when she's not like talking or interacting with people. And so as she kind of filters through the crowd, it's a similar vibe of like her magic glows a little bit around her. It just kind of like settles over people like a cloak. And so for the folk that need a little bit of courage, they are encouraged by that. And for the folk that need a little bit of calmness, they like feel like almost like the light gets a little bit brighter that they are next to and just kind of feel calmer about the situation.
I love that. That's exactly what happens. And the overall consensus is that this is a two-part problem. There's a mechanical failure and they're missing their beacon. And you are told that someone has fashioned something of a battery, but they need something to jolt it, something to empower it. And they are missing and have failed to put together a mirror or some kind of device that can serve as a dispersing of light to fix the lighthouse as it is.
Yeah, as I get that information, I think that that's at the point where I kind of go back to the table where Ash and Gizbar are working on what they have created. And does that kind of give the same vibe of what we might be looking for?
Yeah, as you approach, you see that they have finished creating this circular device, and it's perfect for the second part of that problem.
Yeah, so I think Jax will take some time to explain what the situation is and the information that she's gathered and just be like, so I think that the what y'all have put together is kind of what we might need for the mechanic portion of what's wrong with the lighthouse. And kind of looks over at Ahi while like not trying to be like overbearing about it, but it's just like there is a second problem where we need something to like kickstart what they've been working on. Ahi, do you have any ideas for that?
Um, yeah, I think Ahi comes over. They look a little like almost shaken. I think just because I think this is kind of the largest like lack of light issue they've ever really seen. A lot of the things that they've done back home has been fairly minor feeling compared to this. Like, just fixing up the lighthouse, kind of helping to give light in areas where people are like feeling unwell or need it for like certain jobs, but I don't think they've ever had like their lighthouse fail to this level before. So they look a little shaken by it because they've also never felt their light dim before, and that just feels very weird. And they're like, kind of all of the usual like attitude has fallen away, and they're just like, yeah, I should we just need to get light back here, I think. Yeah, whatever I need to do that. It feels empty without anything.
You see that the door to the lighthouse is wide open. People are freely coming in and out of it. And there are a few people that stop by and they peer, trying to see what you're doing. They're eavesdropping, and then they kind of move on. No one seems to pay particular attention to the group of you, other than the occasional stare at Ahi, for very obvious reasons.
Um, I think if we can get to the top of the lighthouse, I can infuse. I think I've never done this before, but I think I can infuse like the actual lighthouse with light, and then that will reflect off that whatever that is. They like kind of look at this perplexing object, and do that, and I feel like that'll keep it going longer until their beacon can come back and maybe do something that's a little more permanent. But I think if I infuse the whole building with light, that'll do a little more than just, doing a little piece.
Once Ash and I finish this gadget that we believe will work, kind of like assessing the situation and kind of hearing what people are saying and the looks that people are giving, I kind of want to not necessarily take Ahi to an aside, but like kind of like keep like a tighter group huddle, so like as to not have like everyone like eavesdropping on our conversation, and I just be like, listen, I think we've made something that might work, at least fixing the mechanical portion of this whole lighthouse situation, but from what I'm hearing, I'm getting, all these murmurs and such. It seems like everyone is a little on edge and a little drained of hope from this whole lighthouse going out, and it seems like they're looking to you, Rahi, as some kind of, I mean, the beacon, honestly, and someone that can probably save them, and I feel like, and I kind of hand them the mechanism. I'm just like, I feel like it's more appropriate for you to be the one that does this. And I'd want the people to see that. It might give them a little bit of hope in such dark times. So yeah, I'll hand Ahi the mechanism. Plus, I'm a man of the sea. I'm not really I'm not a fan of heights, so going up there is a little not my thing.
Yeah, I think Ahi will like kind of like, oh, okay. And their demeanor kind of like comes back because now they're like, oh god, everyone's eyes are on me. Gotta be this hero.
Sorry, no pressure.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, okay. I think I can. And then like they kind of like straightened up with their cloak, and they're like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I can do that. If anyone else wants to come with me. They're kind of like lugging, like they're pretty like muscly. They have like the muscles of someone who is just active and like does a little bit of manual labor in their everyday, but they're not like a bodybuilder or anything like that. So they're still kind of like struggling with whatever this big giant thing is. They're like, maybe I could use a little help with this thing.
Ash will grab the other side of it and follow up the lighthouse.
Cool.
As I head up towards the lighthouse, I will say like Gizbar actually is like afraid to go up that high. He sticks to the water and that's his thing. He kind of like will try to get like Jax to slink back a bit and try not to get like Ahi to hear this. But as they like head up toward and try to fix this thing, I'm just like, Jax, it really does feel like this town needs a little spark to get people out of this distraught vibe that I'm getting. Once that lights back up, I need you to come up with the best song and tale that you've ever come up with about Ahi and how they saved this lighthouse, and count on you for that.
Jax chuckles to herself a little bit, and then looks at Gizbar and says, I will start working on that, and I think Ahi might need some extra help up there, so we might want to join.
Heights! All right, I'll come by, and I'm like kind of shaking a little bit. But surely, your way with words is unparalleled. I can't think of anyone else who can whip up a better song than you.
I love
Somewhere
this.
ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I just up ahead. He like sneezes in that anime way where someone's talking about them.
Yeah, don't tell me. I said.
As Ahi and Ash begin to climb the interior of the lighthouse, you can see that very clearly there is some kind of dwelling here at the base floor. It's evident that whoever used to be here, perhaps the beacon, you see on the wall there's a thick tapestry that has been boldly emblazoned with their version of your cloak, Ahi. And it's quite humble, it's quite comfortable, whatever someone would need to stay here long term, and it's pretty clear that their beacon is not here. You're making your way up the stairs, and you can see that the stairs are pretty well maintained. There is a bar that serves as like a rail, essentially. So Gizbar, you're able to get up. You might it might be a shaky ascent, but you have something to help you on your way. And at the very top, I'm sorry for any lighthouse enthusiasts. I don't know how lighthouses work, so I'm just making it up. Okay. Essentially, what you see at the top is this structure in the middle of an open ring. And the structure has clearly been cannibalized. You can see that the innards of some kind of device have been pulled out, and there's junk strewn about. It looks like someone has made an effort to try to fix it and failed. You can see a burnt out disc that is somewhat similar to the one that you have created as a group, but it's still not exactly the same. You have this moment of uncertainty of, is this going to fit? Is this going to work? And Jax, you're able to pinpoint, that's the battery that someone mentioned before. And the four of you are looking at this, and you can see there is an empty battery, there's this disc, and then there's this space that you need to maneuver these different pieces into. What do you want to do?
So the empty space is where we need to put our device in?
Yeah, you have to basically fit in a battery that's empty currently, a disc, and then make him work somehow.
Sounds a little too easy. Put the thing in the thing?
I'm sure it'll be fine.
I like stand back, but like not too close to the edge.
You say that there's a crack of thunder behind you ominously.
Okay, the sooner we get up here, the better.
And the battery's on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I can try to charge it up with some, but it might, it's a little dangerous to do that, but we could give it a shot.
You pick up this battery, and it essentially looks like this glass container that has these copper fixings on both ends, and you see fine wires whirling around on the inside in some kind of intricate design. It's pretty clear that this thing is very fragile, but as you're holding it, you get the sense that you can probably supercharge this. You can do something with it.
Um, I sort of gesture for everyone to sort of stand back, and I grab the battery on both ends of the copper and start Storms of Bruin and try to channel some lightning energy into this to try to jumpstart it.
Okay, let's get a roll here.
Okay.
What kind of approach do you want to come at with this? Do you want to do this logically? Do this with gut intuition?
I'm gonna try to do this logically and try to basically infuse enough energy that will kickstart a battery, but not so much that it'll set the whole lighthouse on fire.
Okay, sounds good. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, this is what will happen. So please roll me a mind, which is going to be a D8 for you, and then Storms of Bruin, which is a D4.
Ooh. That's interesting. I got a 3 for Storms of Ruin, but I got an 8 for Mind.
Okay. All right, that is a critical failure on the mind, but a regular success on your Storms of Bruin. All right. That's going to be a mitigated success. So we have to shift down your mind. So your mind will become a D10 now. Get an experience point.
Okay.
And then with your success, it still succeeds, but something's going to happen here. Okay. Describe to me, you can take total agency here. So your Storms of Bruin works great. You put energy into this. Tell me what it looks like and how does it bite back?
I am just able to concentrate on exactly the type of energy I need to put into this thing, but I have no idea how much joules this battery can hold. I don't know if that's the right term. I have no idea this type of battery and like how much power it can take. So I think I kind of maybe overestimate. I'm like, this is a lighthouse battery. It probably takes a lot of energy. And I maybe infuse a little bit too much and get shocked a little myself.
Yeah, you feel as the shock washes over you, you feel a little fuzzy. It's almost as if your eyes can't focus too well. You feel that it's a little shocked by it, so to speak. But you manage to keep hold of it, and you have a charged battery now.
I just sort of like, I don't know if anyone's been electrocuted before. You know how like you sort of feel like not numb, but like it feels, yeah, I have that feeling of just like a little bit jolty and I turn to the group and I'm like, I think I did it. But just not fully there. And I try to place the battery in its slot.
It slides in.
I think here Ahi is going to go in with the light within using that keyword mend. And they're kind of like lifting this giant reflect thing. And I think like they look a little confused. I don't think they really know the full mechanisms of the lighthouse. And then there's just a point where the light starts spreading from their hands and like it almost looks like it's building at like showing a route of where to place things. So they just start like moving things around to get this together.
Okay. Do you want to approach this with mind or soul?
think this makes more sense to do soul. I think like he doesn't really necessarily have technical knowledge of this. They're just sort of like feeling it out in a way that like if someone were to ask them, they'd be like, I don't know, I just did it.
I like to imagine in this scenario, mind is like, I know how it's supposed to work, and the soul is, I hope this is going to work. Okay, great. So go ahead and roll me a d4 for your light within and a d6 for your soul.
Had to make sure I was like, did my...
Also, just in case, no reason at all, just to let you know, there's another mechanic. There is a mechanic called exertion, where essentially you can voluntarily shift down a trait's die, and then you just automatically succeed whatever it is you're trying to do.
Cool. So I got a 1 on my soul roll and then a 2 on the light within.
Okay, great. You critically succeed on your soul, and you have a regular success on your light within. Okay, I think what it looks like here is as you're mending this construct together, I like to imagine that you create threads of light that just basically plug into everything, and they connect everything together in a sort of web.
Yeah,
What does it look like? How are you feeling as this is happening?
I think like it just looks like Ahi is like in their element. Like finally like that awkwardness that has carried around them up until now has just disappeared. I think they're even like giving like orders a little bit, like, okay, can you hand me this thing, and like saying names of like tools that they've never handled before, and they're like, guess what, I need this, and you're just like, okay. Like, what, this? The thing, no, your other, next to your right arm, your other right arm. Yeah, and they're just kind of like in the zone of like someone who's just like, you know, like they're like a mechanic at this all of a sudden. And like, I think, yeah, like the light is just kind of like threading out of them and connecting all the pieces. And then they just like put it all together and then kind of push in that last piece there, that like, the big like gear that we made, they kind of like push it into place. And then you have like a moment where they like put their hands up and they're like, we're all just like looking at it, because it's lit up here, but it's not lit up everywhere yet.
Yeah,
and
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, so just like there's like a pause that goes on for like a little too long. Like this was a show. We all just sit there and we're like, maybe it didn't work.
There's like a collective breath being held here for a moment as you see the threads of light between the pieces. You see the power just cackling inside of this crystalline cylinder here. And then, all of a sudden, light washes out. And it's almost staggering as it washes over you. You have to turn your eyes away, cover your eyes. It envelops the area, and it begins to spin as lighthouses do. You hear a scattered reply from the foot of this lighthouse as people are reacting in all sorts of manners. Some people are shouting, some people are laughing and crying. You can tell that you have been successful here in restoring the lighthouse. Ahi, you were so in tune with this in this moment that you do feel some semblance of light, capital L light, returning to the lighthouse. And you see as you're looking down that the torches, the gas lamps, the lanterns, they're all just a little bit brighter than they were before. You seem to have restored something that was taken from this place. However, you also know in your gut that this is a temporary solution. What you've put together here, it's not the real thing. It's not the professionally industrial grade thing. This might last a few days. But you all know that what your efforts have put together will do for now. And you see, as the four of you are looking over, people are gesturing you to come down.
Get there eventually. I'm just taking the steps slowly, one by one.
Ash will go down and see what the people want.
People come up to you. Some of them try to hug you. Some of them try to shake your hand. You see some people tearfully crying and saying how thankful they are, how much they appreciate your work, your effort here. You see someone's like, who are they? I've never seen them before. Were they authorized to touch the lighthouse? Do they have a license?
Is that the old lady?
Old lady.
Maybe. It's kind of hard to tell. There's quite a few people gathered now. And you see Eliza come up to the group of you. She's sweaty. Her hair is just frazzled in all sorts of directions. And she's smiling. She says, Ash, you did it. All of you, you did it.
I sort of like gestured to Ahi, and I'm like, like it wasn't me. But I inform Eliza, this will hold for now, but we definitely need a more permanent solution. This will last 2-3 days.
Okay. What do you think we need to do?
Go find your beacon, maybe.
Right. The beacon's name is Sarah. Sarah was last seen on the Glory, heading to Hermit's Hold. Maybe you can start there. But you've done so much. You've come a long way. If it's all right, maybe stay for tonight and get some rest. You can come to my house. I can cook you up a fine meal and give you a dry place to sleep. You deserve a good night.
Ash is a little anxious to get going, but she knows that it's probably for the best to hang out and wait, but she'll kind of wait on what everyone else on the team says.
Yeah. I think Jax kind of gets that vibe from Ash, and it's just like some rest would probably do us all good. It was a bit of a long day out on the boat.
Yeah, I think Ahi is trying to keep up let's but you can see like they're a little maybe faint, looking a little ragged, and they kind of look at everyone and tomorrow we find that ship.
Yes, let's get some rest, and I'll stay the night as well, and we can disembark early tomorrow and see what's up with the Glory.
All right. Well, follow me. My house is this way. And as the group of you follow Eliza into the heart of Stronghold, that is where we're going to end our session for tonight. But the
Can I do one
go ahead.
little thing?
Yeah.
Before, as everyone, I guess, heads toward the town, I just want to, turn to Ahi and just be like, you're a natural at the whole beacon thing. I've seen a lot of them in my day, and you're a good one. So keep it up.
I think Ahi is just I'm sure you see. Okay. They kind of try to
learn to take the compliments.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think Gizbar has such a love of everywhere he's been, because he goes everywhere so frequently. Seeing everyone in the town happy again and filled with more hope, he'll just kind of smile and not follow everyone to the town. He'll just kind of go back to his boat to sleep on his boat Hey, Jed, are you watching the boat? There's a scratch on it. I'm blaming you.
You
And
see
then
the
I'll-
bulbous frog turn towards you, the suspiciously buff creature, and it looks at you deadpan with these saucer eyes and goes, "Urr, urr, urr, urr."
I thought so. Yeah, I will sleep on my boat because that's what I do.
Okay. Ash, Jax, any closing notes that you want to do?
I have a question for you.
Yes.
So Weather Ward is my tech ability. Once per session, when you or yourself or an ally has to shift to die down due to the elements, you may prevent that shift from happening. Can I use this sort of like long rest type thing as a way to use Weather Ward on my mind dice going down and to back up?
So we will have rest and recovery, so we will
Okay.
be shifting stuff back up.
Okay.
You can use this, like, why not, if you want.
Mhm.
If you want to, like, flavor it as something that you do for the party, you can definitely do that. But just, like, above game, we will have recovery.
Okay. Okay, cool. Then I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, I think as Jax is kind of like ushering folk towards and following Eliza, she's also trying to keep an ear on the crowd, mostly because like there was something clearly wrong with the lighthouse. Like there were pieces missing and something not great had happened there. And so it's also just like trying to pay attention to particularly people that don't seem happy about the lighthouse being fixed.
Okay. So no one complains about the lighthouse, but you do hear someone have a strange conversation that kind of sticks in your mind. And it is a couple and they're talking. And you hear one person say, "I thought you bought this recently. It's brand new. Why isn't it working?" And their partner is kind of banging the side of this lantern. "I don't know. It should be working. It's full. The bulb is clear and it's brand new." And you see they're kind of finagling with this this dial on the side of it, and it just isn't igniting. It isn't working.
Yeah, I think that Jax will just kind of track that and then continue following the group. She'll make like a quick note of it just as something that is concerning about the stronghold right now, but then we'll continue to follow the group.
Okay. And for the final scene, Ash, as you are joining the others and moving on, you notice that the lights behind you are slowly dimming out. And that is where we're going to end the session for tonight. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Really, really appreciate the show of support. This has been episode 1 of Undertow, which is a shift mini-series set in Maelstrom. We are going to do some outros real quick. I would like to reintroduce everyone at the table, so please tell me who you are, where we can find you, and what your favorite part was of this episode. And we will start with Rue.
Hello, everyone. I'm Rue. My pronouns are she, her. You can find me on Twitter at CherryDrop, and you can find all my links there. I do a lot of freelance writing and other work in actual plays. Oh my god, my favorite part. There are so many good ones. I really love this cranky old NPC because I feel like it created some really fun interactions with folks. And I hope, if nothing else, that they're like background heckling us for a while.
Thank you so much. I love breaking out the cranky old lady voice, so I appreciate that you appreciate it. Thank you. We'll hop on over to Jasmine.
Hi, I am Jasmine. I am L_Jasmine on Twitter. You can find me there. You can also catch me on Hero Club's Twitch stream every Tuesday, where we're playing D&D and we're playing a heavily edited version of Wild Beyond the Witchlight. Yeah, that's every Tuesday, so come check that out. My favorite part, I mean, Jet's my favorite. Love hanging out with that frog, but also how I've basically created this character that is supposed to be extremely smart and has not rolled any successful mind checks. So, really fun. No, but it is. It is really fun to like have a character that is really informed by these roles, and I'm loving the system so far. So yeah.
The wonderful thing is when you have to shift a die down, you get an experience point. So you're
I have
just
2 so far.
you're preparing, right? Like
Yeah.
you're gonna have your moment next session where you're gonna spend these points and get stronger and cooler and zappier. It's gonna be great.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm excited for how that progresses.
Excellent. What was your favorite part?
Mine?
Yes.
I love the I love the old lady and the mechanics that she gave us, and I have a feeling that's not the last of her. So yeah. And she's so mysterious.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Chris?
Hello, I'm Chris Tung. Most people know me as one of the co-founders of PinkCity.ca, which is an anime gaming streetwear brand from Toronto, Canada. If you like anime or gaming and fashion, that's our whole thing. I'm also the producer, editor, and current GM for Super Journey Dudes, which is a comedy tabletop RPG podcast. Right now, we're running a Lancer game. Our show called Blink Space Blues airs every Monday on our Twitch. And then drops online on Tuesdays. It's a really fun Cowboy Bebop Gundam inspired neo-noir show that's high production. It's got animation, art, explosions, special effects, all the cool stuff. Truly the coolest thing that I've ever made. So that's the thing that I would direct people towards. Favorite part? Oh gosh, so many. I think similarly to Jasmine, I love the how we came in swinging with awful rolls right off the bat. The rolling system, and I think just playing the system, I think was just my favorite part. Just like learning the system. So shout out to the Shift folks if you're watching. Yeah, like the whole trait and keyword thing is just really cool. So playing that and like getting to know the system inside out as we have been was fun and exciting. I don't know, does that count as a favorite part?
Yeah, absolutely. You can say whatever you want.
The system. And then of course, my favoriteest part is Stella's masterful GMing.
Aw,
That's
you.
yeah, that's the best part.
Aw.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what's really wonderful with the experience points that y'all are collecting when you shift a die down is you can spend them to buy certain things. It's kind of like a point-buy system. You can buy traits, you can buy keywords. So you can buy additional keywords for traits that you already have to kind of expand what they can do, right? To kind of shift them, make them more dynamic. So there's a lot of like really fun stuff that we can do. And I will be giving all of y'all some experience points because since this is only a 3-shot, we're gonna make it really fun and you'll basically like level up. Yeah. But we'll talk about that after the stream. Last but certainly not least, our lovely siren, Lexi.
Hello, my name is Lexi. I'm mostly known online as Pizzetti. I'm a variety streamer here on Twitch. Most of my work centers around playing indie games, but I also am on a once-a-month game on Ride Happy 5250H channel where we play D&D and just kind of vibe on the internet. Mostly I'm on Twitter, but I'm not there a lot anymore because Twitter is Twitter. So you can find me on Twitch just kind of hanging out. And I think that my favorite part was Gizbar encouraging Ahi at the end. And just like that, the little moment that y'all had, that was really cool.
That was super cute. I'm Stelluna. Thank you so much for being here. If you would like to support the channel, a free way you can do so is to give us a follow, either here on Twitch or on YouTube if you're watching this VOD. That's an easy way to get notifications for when we go live. We will be back with Undertow next Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time for episode 2. Not even the rain. Have a good night, everyone. Bye!